Sawdudes. Peregrine Greaves got buffed with the release of Season 23, and they're even more busted than before. Now, its exotic perk, Peregrine Strike, causes champions, tormentors, and mini-bosses to take 1000% increased impact damage for shoulder charge abilities, up from the 225% for other enemy types. Hitting those 3 enemy types instantly refunds your melee ability. Let me reiterate, hitting champions, tormentors, or mini-bosses completely regens melee ability energy so you can continue to spam your shoulder charge ability. It's broken, and we're taking Funny Punch to the next level. Let's get started. For this build, I will recommend using Ward of Dawn. The extra safety it provides is great, especially going into Grandmaster content where you might find a use for Peregrine Greaves. The weapon buffs it provides are excellent as well and ensure that the team can dish out optimal damage. Rally Barricade offers reload speed and stability bonuses to weapons. I find this perfect since it is usually the better option to take pot shots at enemies. Of course, we will be using Shield Bash. This is the only melee ability that will work with Peregrine Greaves. Shield Bash suppresses targets that are hit and grants a 45 HP Void Overshield on kill. For this build, I'm using Vortex Grenade. It's easy to use and synergizes with our Fragment choice later on. Aspects for the better Captain America are Bastion and Offensive Bulwark. Bastion causes barricades we cast to generate a 45 HP Void Overshield for us and allies within 15 meters. The same effect happens when we cast our super. While behind the barricade, we are granted 10 Overshield HP per second. Offensive Bulwark causes Void Overshields to grant 400% additional base grenade regen rate, 100% increased melee damage, and increased melee lunge range to 5.5 meters. This increased melee damage does seem to work with Peregrine Greaves. We're going to use Echo of Expulsion, Provision, Starvation, and Undermining for our fragments. Expulsion makes void ability kills cause explosions, which pairs perfectly with our Shoulder Charge and Vortex Grenade. Provision causes grenade damage instances to grant 3% of our melee energy back. Starvation causes Orb or Void Breach pickups to grant Devour for 5 seconds. Despite the nerf, we will have to use Devour in this build for the extra survivability. Finally, Echo of Undermining causes Void Grenades to apply Weaken on hit for 5 seconds. Let's gloss over the armor. The cowboy hat had Harmonic Siphon, Special Ammo Finder, and Heavy Ammo Finder. Either ammo finder can be swapped for hands-on. On the gauntlets, there was Grenade Kickstart, Heavy-Handed, and Bolstering Detonation. The chestplate had Melee Damage Resistance, Concussive Dampener, and Harmonic Resistance. For Peregrine Greaves, Innervation, Invigoration, and Absolution. Finally, the mark had Outreach, Reaper, and Bomber. I know you're likely tired of hearing about Resilience, so I'll save your ears and just tell you to go for a high enough amount. I highly recommend balancing Discipline and Strength. Discipline will lower our Vortex Grenade cooldown, which is important for making use of Echo of Provision. This will indirectly help us lower our Shield Bash cooldown. Strength directly lowers our melee cooldown. If you are the type of person to save your melees for champions and bosses only, you may not need to spec into Strength at all. If you appreciate the Captain Falcon reference, drop a sub. It'll help me out and it'll let you Falcon kick champions. Today's build only has one weapon loadout because I wanted to get this video out as fast as possible and chose to use the loadout that I just like best. Despite that, I will still have some very quick recommendations for other playstyles. Weapon loadout 1 uses Partner Dust, Age-Old Bond, and Tractor Cannon. It is a pretty well balanced loadout but places emphasis on the Shield Bash melee. Partner Dust is our crowd control tool, just as I said in my last video. Devour is not enough to keep us alive, so we need a way to stop enemies from firing. Disorienting Grenades does just that and makes yellow bars stop in place. We can easily steamroll them with our Vortex Grenades, or use our Age-Old Bond to clean them up. If you don't want to use Partner Dust, you could use a sniper like the Supremacy or Succession to deal damage from range. Age-Old Bond is my favorite ad clear void weapon. I'm using Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds for easy ad clear and an easy overshield. Weakening enemies with Vortex Grenade is perfect and sets off a chain reaction of explosions that can usually clean a whole room. Since it is a high impact frame, it doesn't suffer from much damage fall off. Finally, Tractor Cannon is only used to debuff priority targets with Weaken and Suppress. This is probably a bit overkill for some content since Peregrine Greaves usually one-shot a fairly large percent of the enemies that you'll face. However, when it comes to bosses, you can apply Tractor Cannon and Shield Bash, then run off to do it all again. The Weaken from Tractor Cannon increases the damage enemies take by 30% for 10 seconds, which is perfect for team play. If you don't want to run Tractor Cannon, that's fine, you can use Leviathan's Breath instead. It hits hard and puts you in charge of dealing damage. Plus, it has a very long engagement distance. Lastly, I'll cover the Gameloop, even though there really isn't one. The main thing is to sprint for at least 2 seconds, then jump and Shield Bash. You do have to be in the air for at least half a second to receive the damage buff. When you use this on bosses, mini-bosses, or champions, be prepared to find cover quickly. This is especially important when facing bosses because you will likely be stomped out of existence. The rest of the build is meant to supplement this loop. Orbs grant Devour and kills with Devour active grant Grenade energy. Grenade hits refund melee energy, eliminating the need to use Monte Carlo. Also, Peregrine Greaves fully refund melee energy already, so if you're smart, you won't need to use a crutch. Rinse and repeat the cycle, and you're set. Alright guys, that is the quick and dirty Peregrine Greaves build. I knew that they were going to get a buff going into this season, but I did not expect something so drastic. I'm still working on tons of other builds, so I'm sorry that they're coming out a bit slow. Let me know what you guys think about the video, and as always, thank you for watching, and happy farming.